Hey, welcome back to the show. It's a brand new episode of Micadelic. I'm Mike Brancatelli. Of course, you're you. Are you? Who are you really? Who are you? Who are you? Who sent you? Who sent you here? Well, whoever sent you, thanks for being here. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking out the show. Thanks for tuning back in. Thanks for being with us on this insane journey of podcasting throughout the years. And today I'm talking with my new friend, Ankhara Akeru. And you know what? It's his first time on a podcast, y'all. So make him feel warm and welcome. And if you like what you hear in this conversation, and I know you will, check him out. Check out his Instagram. Check out his work. Check out his ancient future technologies. Yeah. Let's see.
Well, you see, crystals have ancient future technology encoded in their DNA. It doesn't matter if it's ribosomes or hardware, you see. Well, I wasn't planning on getting into that, but since you asked...
Still working on that TM. But man, there's a Terrence McKenna group on Clubhouse. It was so fun. I got to go in there. There's some people in there that could do some great McKenna impressions. Of course, shout out to the Ungoogs. The ungoogleable Michelangelo for his great, fantastic McKenna impression. And my new friend Ankhara hosts a Clubhouse room, the Scylla Cipher Sessions. He was hosting a room the other day, ancient future technologies, the pyramids, and mushrooms. He's a wealth of knowledge and information, and you know what? And you'll find out in the show. You'll find out in the show. Find out about him. Listen to the show. All the links are in the description, the show description. Find out more about Ankhara. Go to his website. Go to his Instagram. And this was a great one. I love this one, and I can't wait to do more. Yeah, do more talks like this. With Ankhara, with other people out there, with the others, all the amazing others that I've been connecting with on Clubhouse, which is an awesome place. So if you guys want an invite to that, hit me up in the Discord or hit me up in Instagram, wherever, and we'll get you in there. I created a group called Mind Jam. Many of you guys know that I was doing Mind Jams, these live shows, kind of like part stand-up comedy, part philosophical discussion, part community building, bonding, sharing, meeting friends, like-minded people. It was just awesome. And I was doing those live before the pandemic, and I didn't really do anything during the pandemic times. But now I think I'm bringing it back on Clubhouse because it seems like it's the right format for that. So it's just like a free-flowing jam session, no goal, no endpoint, just talking, just communicating. All kinds of ideas, not limited to entheogens, psychedelics, or anything, not limited to anything, pretty much open to everything, except country music. That's where I draw the line, no country music. So, but if you want to be in the Discord, that's the Micadelic Inner Sanctum Discord chat where people from all around the world are connecting and sharing stories and trip reports and, growing tips and tricks for cultivating mushrooms and integration. And I'm also doing one-on-one calls with people. They're also part of a mind jam. It could be anything, anything that you're going through that you need to talk about. It could be anything they need help on. If you're trying to create a podcast, it's hard to sort of, I haven't launched, this is like a slow launch, I guess, of this, but it's just because I don't really know what to call it. It's just like, pick my brain, I'll listen to you, we'll riff back and forth. And, I've done consulting work for a while. I've been in the social media area, like what do you call it? In the fucking social media hellscape, I guess I'll call it. Yeah, I worked in native advertising, did consulting, social media marketing, programmatic advertising, and then more recently as a freelancer doing voice acting work and then doing consulting and kind of coaching. It's like more of a creative kind of coaching session kind of thing, but also holding space for people and that sort of thing. As I get more into that, I've been creating some retreats, doing some men's work type stuff. Shout out to Bill Burns, Connection Council, Max Marshausen. Been really inspired by what these homies have been putting together, and so yeah. So check that out. All the links are in the description, in my link tree. You'll find it all. And if you go to patreon.com/Mike Brank, you'll get access to all the bonus content that we're doing here on this show. And for those of you that don't know, I've been putting out another podcast, a second podcast. It's called Dosadelic, working title. Not sure if I love it yet, but it's fun as hell. I'm really enjoying doing it. Me and my co-host Matt release a new podcast episode every week on Patreon. All you have to do is go to patreon.com/Mike Brank. And at $5 a month, you get access to the new comedy podcast, Dosadelic. I think we have about 8 episodes out now. Some of them are wild, crazy, weird, absurd, and some of them are kind of more similar to my solo shows on this, just with a co-host. And it's really, really fun. I really like it, and I want you guys to get in on the ground level. Get in on the ground level. Let me know. I want to build community over there. I want to build a real, a real tight-knit family over there, because I want to have a real fun show, fun experience, and get people involved. And we've got ideas for sketches and bits, and we do a lot of that stuff on the podcast right now in kind of an improvisational way. And it's just such a amazing space, and I'm so grateful to all the patrons. Thank you so much for creating this space for me to be really experimental, take risks, kind of get back into my comedy roots. For those of you that don't know, I did stand up for 3 years, three to 4 years in New York, and I kind of walked away just when I was starting to get more club spots and things like that. But anyway, my path brought me here, and I'm back to that podcasting. So go to patreon.com/Mike Brank. You get access to these extra Dosadelic comedy podcast episodes where we're getting really wild. It's no holds barred. I'm not holding back, saying everything and anything, and just having a free space to take risks, explore, and experiment with this new podcast. And it's really, really fun. I'm loving it, and people are giving us great feedback. So thank you to all those people out there. So you get access to that. You get access to the Inner Sanctum Discord server, the chat where everybody's connecting from all around the world, and you get access to free prizes, free goodies, which the patrons there can attest to. We have things like stickers and other kinds of goodies, I'll just say, for all you. And yeah, it's really about building this community, building this family, and creating the things that we love. And so, the patrons, I look at them as like the producers of this show. So I love you guys very much. Big shout out to Seth, my homie Seth. Thank you, Seth. I really appreciate your patron contribution that you just made. So much love to you, brother. Appreciate that very much. And what else do we got? Oh yeah, sheath underwear. They're the best. Just fucking buy them. They're gonna make your balls grow bigger. You're gonna have more semen. You're gonna be shooting ropes. You have your schlong dong ding dong is gonna be bigger, and all the things that that it's magical. It's actually, sheath underwear is actually infused with ancient future technology. If you didn't know, they embed little crystals, organite crystals and emerald crystals all in the fabric of the underwear. So and it's like copper and bamboo, and you just charge up. All right, all that's bullshit. But it'd be cool. Hey, some ideas, sheath. I got ideas. So that's one of them. Embed some ancient future technology, sheath underwear in your sheath, right? And then another one would be, it'd be cool to have a little pouch on the back for farts. So if you have a fart and it's going to be really big and really smelly, you put your a-hole in the fart pouch, and then you just blast one through. I got a lot of ideas for sheath underwear, and I keep letting them know about these ideas. I just don't think they're quite ready to make these leaps that I want to make yet. but yeah, I mean, maybe another idea. Well, we'll brainstorm some ideas. But sheath underwear is just the fucking best, right? If you're not buying sheath underwear and you're listening to this podcast, what are you doing? Come on, support the show, support yourself with an amazing, comfortable pair of moisture wicking fabric, bamboo material, comfortable, soft. I don't know how they do it. It's really the best. I love them. I wear them all the time. I wear them to sleep. I wear them around the house. I wear them when I go out. And they have the dual pouch technology, which comes in handy for all kinds of things: running, exercising, hiking. Separates your man parts. You put your balls in one pouch, you put your D through the hole. It makes it really easy to pee. You just slide the flap over. It's perfect. It's great. It's amazing. I don't have to do all this song and dance to talk about them, but I'm trying to make it funny, so that's why I'm doing it. But they're the best. So you go to sheathunderwear.com, put in the promo code Micadelic, you get 20% off. I'm telling you, if you are a psychedelic person, if you like to go to concerts, festivals, things like that, the dual pouch really comes in handy. It's a pouch, okay? It's a pouch. So it's great if you get what I'm saying. So it's just amazing for all kinds of things. And Sheath Underwear, they are Bobby, Matt, shout out to those guys. They're the best. I love them. They're amazing. They're such good, kind-hearted spirits. They're fun-loving people. They love comedy. They love podcasting. They love Micadelic, and I love them right back. So if you want to support the show and get a pair of underwear, go to sheathunderwear.com, promo code Micadelic, 20% off. Shout out to Student Loan Tutor. Check them out. Link in the description. Shout out to Mushroom Revival. Link in the description. 15% off mushroom products. We're going to try and do this really quick, really fast. And then to everybody that leaves 5-star ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts, that's a great way to help boost the show up, boost people like Ankhara up, talks like this, discussions like this, and then that attracts other people. See it, they're able to get in, we're able to find more others. There's a lot of people out there that are talking about a lot of things, and sometimes there's people that might be right on the edge. They're like, well, I never knew about this stuff because no one ever communicated it in my language. And I feel that this podcast, Micadelic, that I've been doing for almost 5 years now, I feel that I've been able to communicate psychedelics, consciousness, liberty, cognitive liberty, freedom, just being vulnerable, real, open, maybe a healthy version of well, sometimes let me stop right there before I go too far. But I've been doing a lot here to try and kind of bring the conversation to people who are, on our level here, and sometimes the conversations about psychedelics and these things can be kind of up on the scientific level, or maybe above people's comprehension, or just not, maybe the conversations are just dry and boring and they're not really getting it. So leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. It helps boost us up in the algorithms. We broke the top 100 in the philosophy category, which is really cool, but then I think we moved back down again or whatever. But just if we get like the more concentration of 5-star reviews that we get, the higher and quicker we'll boost up in the charts. And I say we, but it's just me doing the show. Like, I do all the podcasting and the producing and the editing and everything. I do everything. I don't hire anybody. I don't have any help, but I will soon. So if you're interested, hit me up. But I say we because it's us. It's everybody that listens. Like, this is a family. It's a community, and the things that we talk about here on the show, I'm passionate about these things, and they're important. I want to bring them to more people. So if you can go leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts, that helps. It really, really helps. That's like probably the least amount of effort that you could exude in supporting the show. So I really appreciate everybody that does do that, and if you can do that, it really helps. It helps bring these topics, these conversations to the people that want to tune in to this way of hearing about them, right? Not like the dry academic way or whatever, but like the way that we're doing it on this show, in a kind of fun way, in an entertainment way, in a casual way, in a loose way, using language that most people can understand, pretty much everyone can understand. I hope that's always been my goal, is to use, like, just talk the way that I talk the way that I've always talked. So thank you, much love. I love you all. Let's see, we got it. Sheath Underwear, 20% off. Okay, Micadelic is the promo code. We got all the things. I'm trying to make this intro. Yeah. I think we did it. I think it's a success. I think it's a big success. And so are you guys. I love you all. Much love. I hope you love this podcast I did with Ankhara Akeru. And if you did, go check him out, show him some love, follow him. And without further ado, let's hop into it right now.
Psychedelics are illegal not because a loving government is concerned that you may jump out of a third-story window. Psychedelics are illegal because they dissolve opinion structures and culturally laid down models of behavior and information processing. They open to us the possibility that everything we know is wrong.
We don't need new laws that control our consciousness and rigidly place it in a prison.
Cognitive liberty. The fact that as adults, if we're not hurting anybody else, we should have the right to explore the contours of our own consciousness without any mediation or legislation on the part of somebody else.
Reject authority. Authority is a lie.
Or is it perception?
Information is power, but we have to seize the opportunity. The opportunity.
Cool, man. Well, welcome to Micadelic. Happy to have you on.
I appreciate you, Mike. Man, it's really a pleasure to be here. Thank you for taking some time out of your day to connect with me, and I'm looking forward to what we're going to jump into here today and build with you, bro.
Yeah, awesome, man. So Ankhara, this is not your you have in parentheses your other name, but this name is the name that I know you by. Tell me a little bit about the name and Ankhara Akeru. Did I say that right?
Akeru, yeah. Ankhara Akeru, yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah. I appreciate you asking. My birth name is Marshall Whitley, and I was originally named after my father, Marshall. And so there's a whole story that goes with that. And we can get into that if you're interested, for sure, to explore that a little bit more. But I've actually had many different names and titles throughout my life. And the most recent manifestation of that is Ankhara, and so I actually chose this name for myself. It was sort of like a rite of passage or initiation, if you will, but it was more suited to my energy and my personal story that I'm living out, and it's something that it was a gift to myself, So the Ankh, of course, we know as the eternal symbol of life for the ancient Kemetic cultures. And the aura is like an aura, it's like a light body that's emanating from the Ankh. So we generate light and life through the perfect balance of the masculine and feminine energies within us.
Man, I love that so much. It's a great name. I love saying it, and it's it represents such an amazing thing. And I was literally just talking to some people the other day about rites of passage, initiation, and one of my friends was telling a story about a tribe when they go and this is pretty common, and in these kinds of ceremonies, you really sort of become somebody else by giving yourself a name that represents who you are, who you really are. And it's such an amazing symbolic process as well, and a sense of like really taking your being to another level. I think oftentimes we discount language sometimes, or discount names or meanings, but they hold a lot of weight and a lot of power. So pretty synchronistic. I was just talking about this, and it's really cool to see you in that way.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. And we all have that opportunity to create, a new story for ourselves, and look into the future and see who we are becoming, and extract the underlying essence of that. It's what you mentioned about the language is super important, because it's actually how we perceive the world. Etymology and linguistics and communication is one of the keys to humanity. And so I I really like to dive deep into the study of words and language and things like that. So yeah, man, it's an interesting subject, and I'll definitely, if you like to build on any of that, or any other questions you had today. I know you've got something built in for us here, so I'm looking forward to seeing what we get into.
Oh yeah, I mean it's both of us. We're creating it as we go. So we can go anywhere you want to go, and if there's anywhere you don't want to go, just be like, man, I don't want to talk about that, and that's cool. So yeah, I guess just to like kind of backtrack a little bit, we met on Clubhouse, this new app. It's new for me. I don't know how long you've been on, but it's new for me, and I'm like really fascinated by it. And we connected on there, in the Scylla Cipher sessions, a room that you were hosting, and other rooms. I saw you in that Terrence McKenna room yesterday, and so I've been fascinated by this thing. And here we are now recording a podcast, and we had the choice to do video, but we chose to do audio only. And there's something really intimate about the audio only experience, and something I think really special about Clubhouse that separates it from other social media platforms. And I'm really seeing this, what I've experienced, and I want to get your take on this, is connecting, finding the others, right? Like finding everybody out there that are doing the work, that's in the healing space, that's in the psychedelic space, consciousness space, spiritual space, creating, and bringing people together, making new friends, community, right? Building community, building family. So yeah, I wanted to maybe start out there, seeing how that's how we met, and and we have like some mutual friends and things like that. So, but I guess we would have never maybe connected if not for this app. So yeah, I want to get just basically your take on it, how it's been for you, what you've been experiencing, and that sort of thing on this this new platform.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Clubhouse, basically, what they did is they keyed in on an ancient principle of sound frequency. As we've all familiarized ourselves with, that the universe is full of vibration, frequency, and energy, and we really. So, have you ever seen a picture of someone like that you really feel attracted to, but the moment they speak and the words that come out of their mouth are just like, no,
Yeah,
So
just see a gorgeous woman in a swimsuit on Instagram, but then I hear her voice and she's like, "Hey, sweetie, how you doing? You wanna go on a date with me?" Yeah.
Right. Or just the actual sound of their voice or the words that they're using is
right.
It's not in resonance with you, so it's based on that principle of sound vibration. And when we really, tune in to the frequency of someone's voice, that's how we really, resonate. And that harmonic resonance is when there's like a sender and a receiver. There's like something sending this message out, this frequency out, and then there's another part of the spectrum that's receiving that energy, and in that field, it becomes a harmonic field where those wavelengths actually are in sync together. And so that when we connect through sound and through the voice, we really feel and hear the essence of what someone is sharing, so Clubhouse is a really interesting space, and it's I appreciate it, and I also understand that it's not Clubhouse. It's the sound frequency, and
Yeah.
that is that's how we connect, and that's how we resonate, and that's how we really communicate with each other, is through these sound vibrations and words. And so when one is like not only aligning with the sound of the voice, but also the particular, selection of words and how we use particular words. And that is the landscape of our reality. Everything that we look out upon, we see and give a name to. So, the languaging and the word sound is, it's a key to our connection in humanity, and so that's what Clubhouse is building on and utilizing to grow with, and so it's definitely a positive place. I was very familiar with your work previous to this. I've watched some of your podcasts, and about 3 years ago, I really started tapping into the resource of YouTube, and doing some research myself into psilocybin. And, it's something that I've connected with and utilized for, 20 plus years of my life. But I really wanted to dive deep into what was being talked about, and what, like, the current affairs or activities around psilocybin were. And so I started researching through YouTube, and I found your particular podcast, and the content that you create. And I always appreciate people that are in the space bringing more education and awareness around psychedelics and psilocybin. And I think that it creates more of a safe space, and a space for people to feel like that they can connect and grow in, because there is that sense of, like, destigmatization of actually looking into the benefits and the depths and all the different experiences. And inside a Clubhouse, you get this full spectrum, experience of people from all over the world, tuning in real time and sharing each other's stories and educating. And it's, you hear every single day, people are just like blown away that they can just tap in, and talk to all these other like-minded people that are, in their resonant harmonic field. And it gives a sense of community and connectedness, and, like, a space that is, a little bit unexplored, at least in the cyber realms. So it's exciting, man. It's cool, and it was cool to connect with you in there, and, like, wow, and I've connected with so many other phenomenal people, man. So it's a blessing, and I'm grateful for it. And yeah, that thanks for coming in there, and just also sharing through your lens and in your particular perspective, man. I appreciate you.
Oh yeah, man. I appreciate you too. Yeah. It's, everybody sharing their perspectives through their lenses and everything. And it's really like, I almost want to rename it campfire. It's like, we're all like gathered around the campfire, right? Like a tribe. We're like re-tribalizing, going back to sort of what McKenna would allude to as the archaic revival, this revival of, that sort of, hunter-gatherer band, tribal community, family style, participatory, the oral tradition, storytelling, so powerful, so ancient. And as you said, connected with all these things as frequency, energy, vibration, super, super important. I know you're huge into that. And the mushrooms sort of, it's been this amazing thing, this amazing journey with mushrooms, with psilocybin mushrooms. I feel that they are such a good representation, through the sort of organic internet, if you will, of the mycelium network, spreading and connecting and growing and taking trash and turning it into something good. The best kind of magic comes out of shit, right? With mushrooms. And so we are, in this age where it's like, our technology, like I really feel that the technology now, especially with this, is helping enable more of a sort of mycelial tribal connection, and it's amazing. You mentioned a couple things, like we just brought up mushrooms. We're talking about sound and energy, and I'm wondering what direction you want to go in, because I can go in either one, talking more about the psychedelics and mushrooms, or we could talk a little bit about energy and frequency and vibration, because I know that's a big part of what you do as a certified theta practitioner, using copper in a lot of your art, and other things that I saw when I visited your website. Not your website, on your YouTube channel, was about the water activation. So we could go in either direction, and we can, start somewhere and go somewhere else. But what would you like to get into?
Yeah, man. Well, I really like to talk about what I call ancient future technologies, and it kind of spans the gap between a lot of things that we're have alluded to, and I would definitely love to get into more of that with you, and specifically the fact that technology mimics nature, and
Right.
the example that we've been talking about now is that we have this mycelial network in the earth, this fungal communication, and you see that mimicked in the internet, the web, right?
Right.
The mycelial web. And so all of our advancements and technologies and inventions have come from inspiration in nature. Airplanes were, of course, invented from us looking at birds and the prospects of flying. And there's so many of our technologies were inspired by the elements around us. And so I really like to utilize the elements, earth elements, the ancient future technologies, to inspire that connection, and that our connection with nature, and our connection with the elements. So I would love to talk about more about ancient future technologies, and some of the crystals, and if you have any interest, or
Yeah,
any
I'm super
questions.
interested in that. Let's get into that, because I have a very surface level understanding, like first things that come to my mind are Nikola Tesla, the pyramids, that's pretty much it. I don't know, but yeah, so that's why you're here. Tell me more, man. Like, what are some of these really mind-blowing ancient technologies that have been used, and that you're working with today, or that you have a good understanding with, and how can we apply these to a more harmonic, balanced way of living in our lives now, in this sometimes chaotic, frenzied modern age?
Yeah, for sure, man. Wow. So, let's connect some of the dots, from the ancient into the future. And when we, revisit the places like the Khufu temple in ancient Kemet, you know. And we look at some of the technologies, the ancient future technologies that they were utilizing then, and then we can kind of correlate and correspond with our current story, you know, and see how we can apply some of what the ancients were talking about, and see how that kind of can connect here. But when we look at the pyramids, we know that they sit on specific ley lines, specific energetic grids, and these points of energy or electromagnetic, circuits that crisscross the earth. They come together and connect in specific points, energetic points, and this is where you find the ancient pyramids. You find, the pyramids of the Mayan culture. You've got pyramids in Angkor Wat in Thailand, Cambodia. You've got ancient pyramids in China and Japan. All over the world, the ancient civilizations were building pyramids on top of these energetic ley lines.
Yeah.
And so, in the, I believe it was somewhere around the 1950s, there was a pair of scientists who were researching radiesthesia. Radiesthesia is the sensitivity to the Earth's electromagnetic grid, right? Radio waves, right? So the radio waves are defined as these energetic grids. And so there's people that are sensitive to these energetic grids, and you see this manifested in dowsing and the utilization of pendulums. So these two scientists, they were named Shamri and Deobalizel, and they actually discovered that there was this specific energetic signature that they found at the Great Pyramids in Egypt. And they found that this specific energetic signature was called the negative green ray. And this would be like on the opposite end of the spectrum of the green ray, the green color, the visible resonance that we see in green, manifested in the color green. So below the visible energetic grid that we see, we have infrared, and we also have ultraviolet. So infrared is below red. Red is the last color that we can see in the spectrum, right? Violet is the highest color that we can see, the highest frequency, and then ultraviolet is beyond that. So you have specific energies that are beyond our visible seeing, right? A color spectrum that's beyond visibility, and this is known as infrared and ultraviolet. And then in between that invisible spectrum, you have this energetic signature known as the negative green ray. And what this is it's a wave that actually penetrates. It can penetrate through solid lead, and it's they believe that it's actually can go through the core of the earth. That this form of light wave is actually penetrating through the core of the earth and coming out from the other side. And what this is it's really what can be translated into like more metaphysical or spiritual terms as a spiritual carrier wave. And this is a way that we connect and communicate with the spiritual realms, with the ancestors, with the the angels, the guides. And so, I always look at these specific types of technologies as like, a world bridger, a connector of science and spirituality. So science is just the modern lens to revisit what the ancients already knew and were saying. The mystics already told us these stories, but through a different lens, right? So now we see even in science that they can display that there's these specific frequencies like Nikola Tesla shared with us, that are beyond what we can physically see, but we still experience them. Like we're still absorbing X-ray, we're still absorbing gamma rays from the sun. We're still soaking in ultraviolet frequencies from planetary bodies and the sun. So all of these things have effect on us, even though we're not necessarily being able to visualize them. They are being experienced, So, this specific what we call is like a technology that we're utilizing to now connect via these technologies. Right now we're speaking over a specific binary code, and we're connecting through satellites, the signals that are invisible, but they carry packets of ones and zeros. And then that information is collected inside of your microchip processing computer that is silicon. And that silicon is the basis of silicate dioxide, which is quartz crystal. So quartz crystal, they're utilizing quartz technology in the synthesized form and the microprocessing computers. So this is what I'm talking about when I say ancient future technologies, because we see everything we're utilizing now in this moment, even on this conversation, is based on quartz crystal technology and energy and vibration and signal and mathematics. So it's for me it's like phenomenal to really look at all of this stuff through a lens of that, like there's not a separation between the science and the spirituality. The ancient mystery schools didn't have separate classes that you went to. It was all one, and you learned science, mathematics, metaphysics, astrology. You learned all of the lenses, but through one big lens.
Wow, amazing. Yeah. Brings up so much, it's one of the first things to come to my mind is I was very inspired early on when I first heard Graham Hancock talk about how we have severed our connection with nature, and that is why we've gotten off course and, quite frankly, become insane as a sort of civilization, as a species. And he was referring to it in his banned TED Talk, The War on Consciousness, where he was saying that, look, we've demonized these altered states and these psychedelic substances. And the connection that I'm making now is about what you're talking about here, with these frequencies and these lights and what we can perceive and what's there, the rays. And it seems like to me that you can also draw a connection to us being more detached and disconnected from our natural state because of all of the maybe interference that we've been creating with technology. And I don't know, maybe that's not accurate, but it seems like it. When I think about things like big cities, light pollution, not being able to look up and connect with the stars, and other things like that. I know I've like briefly read a couple articles here and there by Rudolf Steiner, where he talks about, I think he even calls like like modern technology evil or something, because he says that it's like so pervasive that it gets into our nerves and our sensitivity to all of these frequencies and all this stuff that we've created. It makes it really, really difficult to connect to a spiritual frequency with all these manufactured frequencies. And then there's another guy, and I don't know if you're familiar with this, but there's another guy, and I haven't read the book, but I think he wrote a book called The Invisible Rainbow, kind of just like trying to look and see about what happens when we have all of these, EMF and Wi-Fi and, all these frequencies out in the air. Yeah. What's your take on that? What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, we have frontline defense, to help mitigate and transmute these energies. First of all, Wi-Fi, 5G, all these frequencies already existed before. That we just found a technology to actually tap into them. It's like the ultraviolet rays are already there, the infrared rays that we use, like these infrared goggles to see. Before we had that technology, the infrared was still there. You know what I mean? So that they just found essentially a technology, a way to like tap it in and make it tangible in your hand. You know what I mean? So we do have to consider, how we're being affected by now actually having these frequencies directed right at our heads, basically, or while we're using our technologies. And so, some of the natural defenses and frontline defenses are right in the earth. They're the elementals, again, the ancient future technologies. But there's specific minerals and crystals, and we can look at that, with a closer lens if you like. But there's definitely ways that we can not only protect ourselves from these specific rays, but we can also transmute and program our water, so that when we're consuming our water, we actually are utilizing that form of ancient future technology to reprogram our whole cellular system. So I utilize crystals and minerals in my water around my technologies. I use organites. I'm really, really into keeping these frontline defenses around me and in my home, around my space, so that I can transmute those energetic signatures that may be, less beneficial or even harmful for me. And what we do is, by utilizing these technologies, we create an atmosphere of a magnetic ion charge. So technologies like organite and specific types of minerals actually produce what is also produced out in nature around the areas where water is falling or waves are crashing or wind is blowing. You actually get the production of an ion field. And that ion field, when you're in that field, you are breathing vitality, you're breathing in life force energy. And so you're actually absorbing this sort of like creative, energetic field. It's also known as prana. It's also known as chi. It's also called many different things in many cultures, but it's the production of an ion field that we then literally breathe into our lungs and absorb into our bodies. So this is another, way to kind of connect some of those dots. So like, how are these crystals or minerals or any of this actually helpful to us? Well, now we have a way to explain it through the scientific lens, through ion production,
Yeah. What would you, I'm curious to know, and for the people listening, like what are some things that people can do? And I know they can go check out your YouTube, your website. You have tons of information. Your Instagram page is like loaded with information and content. But maybe one or two things that people can do. You mentioned Organite. Some things to look out for. Like, what are some of maybe the most harmful or disruptive energies or frequencies, or and what is some ways that you can utilize some of these elementals in your daily life to help put up those frontline defenses?
Yeah, for sure. Number one thing is the cell phone. That's the number one interference field that we have with between us and ourselves. Right. And so in the current times, it's very easily we get absorbed into the use of these technologies that kind of really function throughout all different ways and means in our life. And so the modern being tends to get caught up with the technologies a lot, and that's the number one source of absorbing these particular Wi-Fi and 5G fields that we're talking about. So I would say first thing is take a moment to remember the ancient future technologies and the elements, and go out into nature. Put your phone down, log off the apple for a minute, and get, go in the kitchen, find yourself an apple, and go out on a little walk. And and when you go out on that walk, maybe find a little spot in nature where there's some water flowing, and there's these ion field productions, and while you're eating your apple, take some time to just breathe in that pranic energy, that life force, that vitality, while you're out in nature. And that's like kind of the number one
Right.
frontline defense for me.
Yeah, me too.
And and
Yep.
then I would say, as far as the crystals and minerals, man, one thing that is a really great frontline defense is a stone called shungite. And shungite is a particular mineral that contains carbon 60 element. It's a carbon bonding that has 60 different faces, and it forms like a perfect sphere, like soccer ball. If you notice the geometry inside of a soccer ball, it's 12 hexagons and 5 pentagons.
Wow.
And that creates a carbon 60 bond. And what that's also known as a fullerene. And these fullerenes actually absorb heavy metals and minerals, not minerals, but it absorbs heavy metals and toxins that are in the water that we're drinking. So you can utilize these crystals in the water to help absorb. It's like, when you use a water filtration system, generally they have charcoal in there. That charcoal is carbon. All of life is based on carbon. So carbon is a key element in the shungite, and it also works for utilizing when you're around these technologies like the cell phones and the computers. You can keep them just on your desk or in your pocket, and they also help transmute some of these the frequencies that we're being bombarded with really all the time. Even when you're not on the phone, this is like, you're next to your friend who's got one on them, or, you're in a home where there's other technologies that, like, it's a constant bombardment. So really, the way to mitigate that is to put the technologies down, the phone and the computers and all those things, and take a hike out in nature, and that will get you away from some of those, harmful fields, and get you into a field of the elements where you can really connect with yourself and really listen to nature, get some of those insights that come from that vital life force that we experience out in the woods.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's so simple and so easy. And yet sometimes, we forget, at least I do sometimes. I'm like, oh, damn, I haven't been, I haven't really been in nature in a couple of weeks. Like, whoa, yeah, and if I'm feeling like, oh, I feel a little off or something, man, I feel right back to where I want to be when I just get out. I'm in Denver, so I'll, drive maybe 30, 45 minutes over to a hiking trail or something like that, and just immerse myself in the forest, in the trees, and immediately, just breathing in that air and just being there among, my fellow brothers and sisters of the forest, the trees and the plants and the animals. And it just feels so good, so connected. And sometimes it's difficult, because we run businesses that operate online, podcasts, social media stuff, and kind of the way that our world functions now in order to participate in it. Man, I think I would be pretty happy just like living in the woods somewhere. But then, we participate in these things. So it's a great reminder. Good info there. Thanks for sharing that. And
Yeah.
And you work a lot with copper as well. And, maybe you could talk a little bit real quick about the copper, how copper works with crystals and how that's a good combination.
Sure, for sure, man. Thanks for asking. I'm actually have a piece of my ancient future technologies in my hand right now. I'm working on a design, and just kind of sitting here and absorbing some of the frequencies from the copper and the crystals. And, copper specifically, right off the bat, it's antimicrobial, antibacterial. It's a crucial form of cleansing like that from specific things like bacteria and harmful things that we might be absorbing in the atmosphere. And so copper is like crucial with what's going on right now, to have copper around you and to have copper like in your hand, you're directly absorbing. And we have copper already as an element in our bodies. It's a crucial element in the blood absorption. And so, it has some specific values that have been defined by science, but it also has, like an example of this would be how we use copper to conduct electricity, right? So copper is a conductor of electrical energy. And then, so how does that combine and apply with quartz crystal? Well, quartz crystal is a piezoelectric and pyroelectric element, which simply means that when you place heat or pressure on a quartz crystal, it actually produces a small electrical charge, and that's why quartz and silicon is the basis of all technologies, because it produces an electrical signal. And that quartz crystal is an oscillator, so it can send and receive information from the outside. So now you have this element that has the essence to produce an electrical charge. And then you take copper and you apply the copper to the crystal, And through twisting and binding the copper together, you actually place a small bit of pressure and force on the crystal. Also, when you put this in your hand, now the heat from your hand is also creating that pyroelectric force. So the quartz is generating this small electrical charge, and then the copper is conducting this charge throughout. And so you actually have, again, similar to what we mentioned earlier about the ionic fields, you have ion production and energetic charge that's then circuited through a specific sacred geometry. Like the copper is then, applied in a way that creates a geometric field, and also is fashioned in the form of the Ankh, which is like an ancient symbol of eternal life. So you get the synergy effect. You have the energetic input of the crystals. You have the energetic input and symbology of the actual shape of the Ankh, and then you have magnetics as well. We also apply rare earth magnets and inside of the tools, and we put them inside of the body of the tools. So you have these different energetic inputs that then have a synergy effect, which basically means that there's like a tenfold jump in the output of energy. These energies combine to create a greater force than what could be experienced in each one of them individually alone. Mm. So, that's why I dubbed them crystal synergy ankhs, because they work with different energetic forces to create a synergetic, combination that then allows you to really amplify your own energetic field and the elements within you. And, that's something that you can then sort of increase your energetic field, increase your field of impact and connection through amplifying that with the crystals, with the magnets, and with the copper. So, the copper is such a phenomenal metal, and, it's easily accessible, and anybody can get a crystal and some copper and wrap the copper wire around the crystal. Even if it's just a simple twist around the crystal, you get that energetic charge in there. So that's why so many people are attracted and magnetized to wearing crystals and copper and things like that, is because even if you're not aware, you're actually creating an energetic charge.
Amazing. Yeah. My friend is way more, way deeper into this realm than I am, and he showed me some of these pieces that he works on, and I'm always just like so blown away. And it has this like, you say like the ancient future technologies, right? Like one of the things that's coming to my mind is that I just recently read for the first time the book Dune. And have you read it?
No, I have not. I'm very aware of the concept, and I think it's the spice or something like this. Is that correct?
Yeah, the spice melange. It's something that it's something that they use to it's kind of like this. I think it's like a metaphor or a symbol for psychedelics, maybe. It has like powerful principles. It's like this element, almost like if you think of like cannabis and like how many, it has like 72 active alkaloids, and it's good for so many things. And we have these like cannabinoid receptors. And so I think the spice, it's like this thing that, one of the quotes is like, who controls the spice? who controls the galaxy. And so in the book, they, it's far off into the future. I think it's like 10,000 years in the future. Humans have moved into space, and we got there through our technology and stuff. But there was this thing called the Butlerian Jihad, and it was this revolt against sentient AI, conscious computers, robots, technology, nanotechnology, the whole thing, because it was oppressing the entire galaxy, right? So they revolted against it, and then when they outlawed all conscious machines, all like AI or sentient machines, and because of that, like within 1,000 years time after that war, and they outlawed this technology, humans started gaining prescience, clairvoyance, like there's a group called like the Mentats, and they essentially have like telepathy and all of these basically like what the way that I interpret it is like it because it got rid of the reliance on these technologies and machines, the humans were then able to awaken their innate powers, because they weren't being like subdued or interfered with by these other things, right? So like when people say like, oh man, like I don't know how to like do math because I just use a calculator all the time, it's like we're outsourcing our cognition to machines, so it makes us kind of like lazier and complacent. So in the book, it's like all these people start awakening with these superpowers, essentially with these natural powers that developed over time. And I can't help but think that is like true. Like I can't help but think like that seems to be accurate. If you look back at some of these ancient civilizations, like I don't subscribe to, history being as what we've learned in like social studies, like, right. Neither do you. So I assume you don't. And so it's like, yeah, I don't know. Where do you see us like going now with where we are? Like, do you think that it is possible to sort of, okay, here's what I'll say. In the Terence McKenna talk yesterday, we were talking about science and spirituality and sort of the intangible or the non-quantifiable practices of shamanic cultures and ancient cultures, ancient future technology type civilizations, right? And there's just some people that they're just not in line with that. They can't see that. They're just more in that kind of materialist reductionist scientific paradigm, right? So yeah, I mean, I don't even know where I'm going here with a question or whatever. I just kind of wanted to bring this topic up because it's fascinating to me to think that we have these latent, maybe dormant abilities within us that could potentially be awakened, and we can potentially go back to a time where we were utilizing these elemental technologies and create something even more beautiful now. So that's kind of where my mind's going. Yeah.
We know through the study in the universities and things, right, that that humans evolved, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're continually evolving, and that we at some point in history became what they know as what is it called, Homo sapiens, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at this point in our evolution, it also coincided with the connection with these ancient future technologies that we know as psilocybin mushrooms.
Right.
So
Mm-hmm.
the evolution of the brain and the evolution of our spiritual connection to a higher force and the evolution of our civilization as we know it coincided with the expansion of consciousness through the utilization of this mycelial network that is now mimicked in the technologies, right? And so as more people come on board and more people tap in to the technologies, the mycelial network, we will begin to experience the next form of our evolution into Homo luminous, to beings of light, right?
Yeah.
So what's happening is essentially more and more and more people, getting attuned, turned on, if you will, to these ancient future technologies and coming on board, plugging into the network. And so that what we're experiencing right now, or what's happening, that you can see very evidently right in front of your eyes through your own technologies, is, essentially millions of people basically in the space where they are tired of the lies. They're tired of the government controlling their life. They're tired of the religion that they were raised on, They want something different.
Sick of the name that they were given when they were born, right? It doesn't fit them anymore.
Exactly. So, what's happening is people are looking for something different, finding answers through different routes and different ways. And it's not always necessarily the mushrooms, or, doesn't always have to be the peyote or the ayahuasca or things like that, but just connecting with self, going deeper within, and stop the reliance upon the outer realms informing us and going on the inside. That's where we're really going to begin to experience like the full evolution into this Homo luminous, these light beings.
Yeah.
So you got to take a journey into the darkness, just like the mycelial network grows in the soil, in the darkness of the soil, and its fruits bear into the light in the form of the mushrooms, right?
Right.
So we have the opportunity to go within, go into the darkness and the dark places of ourselves, and connect these networks, and then we will fruit a new body of consciousness.
Oh man, beautifully said. Beautifully said. Wow, I just got that imagery in my head right now. That's amazing. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. And it's been a big part of my life since really intentionally, sort of, with reverence in a ceremonial and a ritualistic way, going in with deep experiences, mainly utilizing the ancient future technologies of psilocybin and ayahuasca for me. And I mean, it's I've like reprogrammed myself essentially, and it's such a gift to be able to do that, and a privilege, I would say too. I mean, it's like sometimes I forget. Here I am in Denver. We've decriminalized mushrooms here. We're going to go talk a little bit about our the Denver Mushroom Cooperative tonight. We're having a little meeting talking about how we can best offer people an experience to get involved with cultivating and get empowered by really this abundant, fruitful fungi, and so it's really special. And sometimes I forget like how special it is to be doing this stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, like this is really special, because I guess I don't want to be like too declarative about this, but it's just basically like, look, I mean, for me, I'm like, wow, I'm pretty privileged and this is pretty special. So kind of almost feel like it's part of my responsibility to pass this on, sort of, I was inspired again recently by Dr. Carl Hart, whose latest book is called Responsible or Drug Use for Grownups, Finding Liberty in the Land of Fear. And he comes out of the drug closet as this, Columbia professor, doctor, basically saying that he enjoys using heroin from time to time with his wife in a responsible way. He talked about that on Joe Rogan. It seems to be a sort of a polarizing or controversial thing. But I think that it's the more and more people that we have, and especially people in prominent positions having experiences, I favor the psychedelic experience, but I'm not opposed to any sort of experience that you want to have in an altered state if you're gaining something from it and if it's something that you enjoy, right? Like the fun, enjoyment, recreation as well. So yeah, it's like almost like that what you're talking about here of going to Homo luminous and becoming these light beings, it's the more and more people that we have entering the space, the more that we can share, and the more that each of us can open up and talk about it. I think it just helps tremendously, especially, just going back to Clubhouse, like going in some of those rooms and hearing people with trauma and with blockages or with PTSD and awakening to, their soul and their purpose and their meaning and getting so much out of that. It is, it's heartwarming. It's just a beautiful thing to see. So, yeah, I mean, like, tell me a little bit about your history and how you got involved in with everything that you're embodying and the path that you're walking and how you're sharing all your gifts now. How did you get started in that, and what is your practice or practices look like?
Well, my original connection with the mycelial network that we speak of was in my early teenage years. I grew up in Florida, and so we had access to the cow fields down there, and I found out pretty quickly what could be experienced with picking some of the little fruiting bodies that were popping out of the cow pastures there. And, that was my original conception with the mycelial network. And that basically inspired me through, is basically connected to me to my spiritual self. Like it allowed me to really understand and connect and grow inside of my soul, inside of my spirit. And it inspired me to start doing research about other entheogenic plants. I had deep interest in any type of entheogenic plant, from cannabis to ayahuasca, peyote, datura. I really dove deep into studying it through literature, even though I had no access to these particular alkaloids or plant medicines when I was younger, aside from the mushrooms. It sparked me to start researching at a very early age about psychedelics. Mm-hmm. And later on in my life, I got the opportunity through my travel and service work to actually connect with some indigenous people and have a ceremony, an experience with ayahuasca. And then later on, I was able to connect with the Native American church and and work with peyote medicine for about 5 years. And so a lot of my work is, you know, I really respect the indigenous and cultural utilization of these plant medicines. And so that's my particular lens and perspective of working with the plant medicine is through reverence, through ritual, and through, connecting with the ancestors. So I've had, in my 20 plus years of experience with psychedelics, I've come to have a deep respect for really all the plants. I've always been like a nature person and very connected with the trees and the plants and things. And through utilizing, mushrooms and peyote and other plant medicines, I've actually, grown a lot deeper with my connection and reverence of the plant world. And so that's been one, really amazing benefit that is why I like to educate and talk about it so much, because I personally have received a lot of healing and a lot of information and a lot of connection through working with plants in general. I love my meals. I love the sage and the cedar trees. I love, all different plants and their energies and their healing medicine, what they offer. And so, that's what I've kind of taken from working with the plants in a ceremonial way, is to remember to have gratitude for what they do for us. That each one of these plants has its own particular type of personality and spirit and energy, and that form, that specific resonant wave goes to heal a specific ailment or aspect of us that might need attention. And so the beauty of the plant kingdom, and specifically the entheogens, is that they really bring these lessons of like how they can offer their service and their healing for us to connect deeper with nature and with ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, I there's so much good stuff there, and I'm like, oh, where do I want to go? You mentioned Datura. I have no experience with Datura. And I know of it, and the only thing I know of it is, well, be careful with that one. Watch out. That's a tricky one. So I've never been drawn to it, or I don't really even know much about it other than what people have said as being kind of I guess it's poisonous. It's tricky in the way that you cook it. I don't know, maybe almost like an amanita or something, but I don't know. So maybe I'd like to know a little bit more about that.
Datura is not something that I've ever been drawn to or actually experienced myself, other than studying it in the class of other quote unquote entheogenic or psychedelic plants. So I definitely gathered very quickly that the experience was not really what I was necessarily looking for. So
that's right. Yeah. Okay.
Right. Yeah. I know that it grows a lot in the Southeast, particularly in Florida, where I was from. So that was part of the reason why it interested me. Like the belladonnas and the daturas and all that. Anything that had a connection with those otherworldly realms like that was like of deep interest. And so I actually know a little bit more about like amanitas. I've actually been doing a lot of research recently, and connecting the dots between my culture, my original culture, which I have, Irish blood, Irish heritage. And so I wanted to look into my past and my ancestors and see how that was connected with this mycelial network, and so I actually I am putting together a little presentation for St. Patrick's Day coming up March 17th, and I'm going to be doing a Zoom meeting called the Psychedelic Mushroom Cult of Ireland, and I'll be talking specifically about the utilization of fly agarics, known as well as Amanita muscaria, and the Liberty caps, another psilocybin mushroom.
Oh man, that's so cool. That's awesome. I had no idea that there was psychedelic use in Ireland. I mean, yeah, you just hear kind of the stereotypical things, and and no one really, you don't really get that information. But I guess if you look back far enough, you find that plants, psychoactive plants, entheogenic plants have been a part of a lot of cultures, right? And so that's fascinating, man. When are you going to do? Oh, you're doing that for on St. Patrick's Day.
That's right, St. Patrick's Day. Yeah, this is right. The luck of the Irish.
Yeah,
So
it's funny. That's funny, man. I had a mushroom trip one time where I experienced these like leprechauns kind of like sitting in an infinite rows, like almost like sitting on the edge of a building, but they were sitting on the edge of like an Alex Gray type painting, like all around. And like they had like beers in their hands, and they were like cheersing, and they were mocking me. Because I was like repeating this mantra. It was like, oh, show me. And they were like, show me. And I was like, what? I was like, I thought Terrence said I would see machine elves. Like, what are these guys? And that it was just really, really funny. It kind of like came out in this, kind of like jestery, trickery way.
Yeah. So what do you want to know about the mushroom culture of Ireland? I'll give you a little teaser.
Yeah, give us a little teaser here. What can we expect on the next episode of the Mushroom Cult of Ireland? Yeah.
Well, we're going to be going into the actual, part of the creation myth of the Druidic and Celtic cultures. And, cult is the root word of culture.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to really be looking into, through a esoteric lens at some of the original and mythical tales of Ireland, which speak of the goddess Brigit. And Brigit was a goddess that was known to dwell among the birch trees. And the goddess Brigit also wore a red dress with white spots on it. And so if we go out into the forest of Ireland and we find a birch tree forest, and we go and look underneath the birch trees, we'll find the Amanita muscaria growing with a white, red cap and white dots on it. And so, her story, which was later translated into the Catholic Saint Bridget, all of the modern religions and cultures sort of sprung out of this original connection to the ancient origins, the origin myths that go back, to the original culture. And so we're going to look at, our connections to the ancient cultures of Ireland before the Catholic conversion, and how some of those myths are now carried on and sort of reconfigured into the Catholic saints and into even Santa Claus, who wears the red garment with white trim.
Right. Yeah, wow, that is super cool, man. That is really exciting. Make sure that you send me whatever you need to send me for the links or whatever, so I could put it in the show description, get people into that because that sounds fascinating. I unfortunately won't be able to attend because I will be in a ceremony on that day. So, but I will. You're gonna record it.
It will be recorded,
Excellent.
and you have the opportunity to visit us through the etheric realms, and
Yeah.
I would definitely love to see you there in spirit, bro.
Yes, yes, definitely, definitely. Cool, man. I feel like we could talk forever, right? And I feel like we will. I'll see you back on Clubhouse. We'll hop in some rooms. You led an excellent one where we did a story sharing that was so cool. Lucilla Cipher sessions, where we each got to tell a part of a story where we were in a ceremony space and everybody got to build on top of it. I thought that was so creative and so just exciting and fun to be there, connected with all those people. So yeah, you're always sharing, you're always putting stuff out there. Yeah, I'm wondering if you want to share anything else, something maybe we didn't hit on, that we didn't touch on, that you feel like is important to communicate. It could be a story. I really like that story that you shared yesterday when we were in that chat about the Dogon tribe. I thought that was really cool, and important to share these things. Again, that often get lost, right? Like the Catholic Church and this thing and that thing and governments, and they just suppress and hide and burn the Library of Alexandria, sacked Eleusis, so it's like this past, we have to dig into it. And you're one of these excavator psychonauts, like bringing things back from, reviving the life into them to share with people. So I appreciate everything that you're doing, man. And your time here today, sharing with my audience. Yeah. So take us away. Where should we go to land this plane and settle back into, well, not settle back in, just land the plane.
Well, man, yeah, I just want to remind everybody to drink some water today and breathe as deep as you can, and remember to love yourself. But, I definitely look forward to building with you, Mike, inside of the Clubhouse space and just in real time. And, I'm sure we're going to connect and keep growing together. Definitely come see me over in the Clubhouse space at the Scylla Cipher sessions. It's spelled PSILOCYPHER, the Scylla Cipher, little play on words there. And, we come in with all different types of sessions. We have the Sound Summit, where it's an interactive looping, freestyle hip hop, sacred sound healing. Like it's phenomenal and live and interactive. And then we do story time. And Mike, I'd love to have you come through. And I really would like to talk more about what you're doing in the space. And would love for you to come in as co-host and share some of your your experiences and what you like to talk about over there. So
Yeah,
definitely,
definitely.
family, tune into the Soul Cipher sessions if you're on Clubhouse. And then otherwise, you can go check out my work at cosmicrootscreations.com. You could check me out on Instagram at Cosmic Roots Creations as well. But man, I really appreciate the time with you today, Mike. Thank you so much. I'm really honored to be a part of your podcast and what you're doing over here. I appreciate you. And I'm just super grateful to be able to share, some of my perspective and what I have to offer today.
Awesome. Yeah, likewise, brother. I just got an idea. If you have 10 more minutes, I would love to do maybe like a bonus story or something for my Patreon crowd, who are just, I love them so much. The supporters of this show, the producers of this show. Big shout out to all you patrons, all you beautiful people out there. Thank you so much. So if you have 10 more minutes, that would be cool. What do you say? You want to go for a bonus round?
Let's do it, man. I'm always down for the upgrade.
Yeah. Well, you got, in order to get up, you got to get down. So,
That's right.
yeah, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Ankhara, go follow him. Cosmic Roots Creations, cosmic_roots_creations at Instagram. And, check out that clubhouse. I'll send you an invite. If you're in my Inner Sanctum Discord server, I sent out some info on that. So connect, stay in touch. And we're going to go and dive even deeper with Ankhara right now on Patreon. So that's patreon.com/Mike Brank, and we'll see you over there. And for everyone else, consider becoming a Patreon member. It's a good place to be. And until next time, thank you so much. Peace. Hey, I hope you guys liked that conversation as much as I did. Man, every time with these podcasts, I always feel like we're just scratching the surface, but more to come with Ankhara. Check both me and Ankhara out on Clubhouse. Like I said, I'll give you those invites, and there's a lot of awesome stuff going on over there. Follow Ankhara, check out all this stuff, and go to sheathunderwear.com, enter the promo code Mikeadelic for 20% off. Check out all the links in the show description. Just check them out, whatever your interest is. Support the show in whichever way you can. Become a patron. Get access to the new comedy podcast, Dosadelic, only on Patreon, and also early release episodes. I got one coming out soon with Jessa Reed, amazing Jessa Reed comedian, host of Soberish and Awakening OD. So check that out. Go to patreon.com/Mike Brank. Go to Sheath Underwear, 20% off. Oh, I already said that already. Go to Sheath Underwear. Oh, I already said that already. Go to Sheath. Oh, I already said that already. Bye.